First study meeting of the Livonia City Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by the Honorable Councilwoman Carrie Budzinski. Okay, so this meeting sets the agenda for the 2004 regular meeting, which is a voting meeting that will take place on Wednesday, November 6th, where tonight's items will be officially voted on. I show 0 council absences, and I'm jumping right into audience communication. This is audience communication for items that are not on the agenda. You have 3 minutes. Make your way to the podium. Name and address. Good evening again.
Yes, hi again. Alan Dix, 35415 Elmira Street. So to piggyback to my last statement, in talking with some members of council or members of city leadership, it's been surprising to me that when something is discovered that could be a violation of law being committed by the city, purposely or by mistake, regardless, if a citizen, especially a taxpaying citizen of its own city, presents that information, and I'm told that, well, there's not much you can do with elected officials because nobody reports to anybody. It's not like a business that all report up to a president. City council controls the purse strings, but that gives you limited ability. A clerk's office position, for instance, doesn't report to the mayor, can't really come down like a boss would in a business setting. And I'm surprised there isn't something in our charter that allows, when law violations are presented, some sort of internal affairs, inspector general, something in the charter that would give you the authority to investigate, seek resolution, and proceed accordingly. So I would like to ask you to consider taking this up for discussion. Why does the city not have something in the charter that when any member of our government body possibly breaks the law, and statements are made in any avenue as a member of the public, we have many avenues to pursue, whether that's council meetings, going to people one-on-one, to mayor's office, et cetera. When that information is presented, why is there not an avenue that those who seem concerned can then do anything about it? So I'd like to ask you to consider taking that up as a future charter amendment.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else for audience communication?
Mr. President, if there are no further audience communications, if my office could just respond to a few of the,
I'm fine with that.
the statements. Sure. And through the chair, we would like to thank Mr. Dix for bringing some of the election irregularities to our attention that he's mentioned here multiple times, that he sent us written notice of. I would like to note that my office actually did make extensive review of the items that he brought to us. We filed a report with the Election Commission, and that report was discussed at some length. So we're grateful that members of the public are this dedicated and interested, but I would also like to note that our clerk's office has, in addition to handling almost every aspect of this election purely in concert with all requirements, any mistakes that have been made, or any potential mistakes that have been made, I should say, that have been brought forward to our attention have been reported to the Secretary of State, and we've worked with the state to remedy any issues to date. So my office is quite satisfied that we've complied with any requirements of election law and any reporting requirements of election law on top of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to jump right into new business. Item number 1, which is a request to waive the sidewalk requirement. This comes to us from Joe Ida for newly constructed homes at 20533, 20555, 20577, and 20599. Councilman Donovic?
Mr. President, I'd like to recuse myself for a professional work conflict. Thank you.
We might as well just stay on this item. Councilman Morgan.
Yep, I'd like to make a motion to approve this. There's no sidewalks in the area. There's no need to make this person put in sidewalks at these 4 addresses There is sidewalks on the other side of the roadway, but on this side, there's no use in putting sidewalks to nowhere, so.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Are you fine if that's on consent or regular?
On consent, please.
We have an approving on consent. Council, do you have anything further?
Mr. President,
Yes.
due to Mr. Donovan stepping aside, that cannot go on consent, it's gotta be on the regular.
See, I planned that on purpose, just to see if he did. Good job. All right, so that's gonna be on the regular. Just kidding. Anything else from council?
Got to get up early in the morning.
And that Red Bull's wearing off, guys. Anything from the audience? Seeing none, we'll see this on the regular. All right, let's get through the rest of the agenda before Councilman Donovan gets back. And just feel the love. All right, moving on to item number 2 is a vacating request. This comes to us from Jeff and Karen Hargis to determine whether or not to vacate a portion of the existing right-of-way abutting the east side of the property located at 20210 Perlingbrook Street, located in Section 2. Now, this is, I would assume that is Jeff or Karen in the audience?
Yes, we are.
I guess just giving maybe some background on what you're looking to do.
Good evening, council. So I'm Jeff Hargis, my wife Karen Hargis, and we live at 2210 Perlingbrook. And we have 2-acre parcel there, and the back side of our property on the east side, it's wooded. There's a small right-of-way there, and we'd like to take possession of that small right-of-way.
Okay.
We get a lot of trespassers through there. It's heavily wooded. The other neighbors are kind of moving their fences back too on our property, so we'd like to take possession of that if possible.
Thank you. Mr. Termina, do we have anything from your side of this?
Planning has had discussions with Law Department regarding this petition. We're asking council to refer this to the administration for a report and recommendation before putting it on the Planning Commission's agenda. There's some issues that we need to review and determine whether or not this applicant has standing to request the right-of-way vacation. The unimproved right-of-way that he is referring to lies within a subdivision plat that is outside of his property boundary. So his property is not within that subdivision where the right-of-way would be vacated. So this raises some questions, some legal questions in terms of standing and plus I think it's important to get the initial input from engineering and the other departments relative to the desirability of vacating that part of the right-of-way at this time.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Termina. Council?
Mr. President, I will at this time request a report and recommendation from the city administration. I'd like to put it on consent.
We have the report and recommendation administration. Sir, is that, so I would assume that engineering would be in contact with the homeowners, correct, throughout this process after the administration?
Your referral tonight will go
Yes.
to law,
Okay.
planning, and engineering
So
to report back.
once we vote on this at the November 6th, it's on consent, and then I would just obviously stay in communication with these guys until it
Okay.
gets to planning.
All right, thank you, council.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Council, any further comments? Audience? All right, moving on. Item number 3 is a waiver petition, comes to us from the Planning Commission. Petition 2024-09-02-14, submitted by the Learning Tree, requesting waiver use approval to operate a daycare nursery at 37400 7 Mile, located on the northeast corner of Newburgh and 7 Mile Road in Section 5. Mr. Tormina.
Thank you. This is the former Bros Lighting Store located at the northeast corner of 7 Mile and Newburgh Roads. Property is zoned C1 local business. It treats child daycare centers as a waiver use, which is the reason it's before you this evening. The corner property, which contains the building, the parking, and the drives, is about 1.5 acres in size. The petitioner also owns the adjacent vacant parcel to the north, which is about 1.8 acres, but we're really focused on that 1.5 acres of corner property. The building is about 12,700 square feet. The ordinance requires child daycare centers to have at least 5,000 square feet of outdoor play area, This plan shows two separate outdoor play areas, one that would be along the east side of the building, and then the other on the west side adjacent to Newburgh Road. Each outdoor play area is about 5,700 square feet, so it more than meets the minimum size requirements. They would be surrounded by 6-foot-high vinyl fencing. In this case, that the building is set back a little over 60 feet maybe from Newburgh Road, so that play area on the west side of the building would be 40 feet. So it would be roughly 20 feet from the right-of-way of Newburgh Road based upon this plan. The location, I believe, would be licensed for about 160 kids. There would be 22 staff members. Ages would range from 6 months to 12 years. There's a floor plan that shows you the layout of the proposed child care center. They're required to have parking at one space per employee, plus enough off-street parking for the safe and convenient offloading and loading of students. The site plan shows 43 parking spaces. There's a front parking lot with, I think, 15 parking spaces, and there's another 18 spaces along the east side of the property, and then there are 10 parallel spaces along the north property line. There are 2 access drives that service the property. I'll show that back on the aerial photograph. There's one off of Newburgh Road, another driveway off of 7 Mile Road. The plan does not show any pattern or method of how the children will be dropped off or picked up, so it's presumed that both of these driveways would remain as two-way traffic, but I think there should be clarification on how that would occur. There is a dumpster enclosure shown in the northeast corner of the site, and then the petitioners provided a fully detailed landscape plan. One of the issues that the Planning Commission addressed was, and this was really based on comments from the police department, is the protection of this westerly playground area, in addition to some trees that are going to be planted and other vegetation along Newburgh and 7 Mile Road. There's a number of boulders, 3-foot diameter boulders that they're showing along the west side of the playground. Planning Commission wanted those boulders extended along both the north and south sides of the play area for added protection.
Thank you, Mr. Tormina. Councilman Jolly.
Mr. Tormina, does this potential location of the learning tree have any impact on the one that's further west on 7 Mile?
This is in addition, and I think you'll hear from the petitioner
Okay.
how they need the additional space to accommodate the demand.
Okay. Is the petitioner here?
Yeah, is he here?
Oh.
Well, I'll keep going to council if it's, well, do you want to
They're
answer?
here. They're here.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Hi. If we could have name and address, just to, I guess, know who you are.
Yep, my name is Andrea Majeski, and I'm a regional director at the Learning Tree.
My name's Karen Ballard. Address is 8183 McFadden in Salem.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So the
Sorry.
question I asked was, this new location that you're looking at, what's the impact on the location further west on 7 Mile?
Yeah, that location will stay open. The Learning Tree's been in Livonia since 1982. We have 3 locations in Livonia. One of the locations we currently lease from Livonia Public Schools, and due to the age of the building, they are moving us to another Livonia Public School farther away. So in order to meet the needs of our current clientele at our current location, we needed a closer location, hence 7 Mile in Newburgh.
Would that be the Marshall Elementary?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Toy?
If he's up-
Councilwoman Toy?
All set.
Yeah, okay. If I may, to the petitioners, are you owning the building or leasing it?
Bros,
Correct, the building
we'll
itself?
own the building.
Yeah, you'll own the building, okay. And what else I wanted to ask you? Hours of operation?
7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday.
No Saturdays or Sundays,
No.
right? Okay. Yes.
I was going to say, can I drop her off during that time?
We got,
Take care of kids too, maybe?
We
I'm
have
not
some
sure.
babies to love.
Only if there's a swing set. Anyhow, I find that, I like what Planning Commission said about the safety feature there on the west side. Do you have any answers to that tonight, that you could explain to us perhaps, of maybe some suggestions of what you may consider?
Yeah, so obviously safety is a huge concern to us as well. So we were open to suggestions. The boulders came up. We have them at another one of our locations in Lyon Township. for similar reasoning. The boulders would be spaced 6 feet apart with trees in order to, protect the perimeter of the playground. Definitely open to other suggestions as well, but that was the one that seemed to best meet the needs.
And the state has you put in fencing, obviously,
Correct.
and a whole lot of other things as it relates to the play areas and the inside, the interior as well, right?
Yes.
And you're gonna handle about 160 children for the week or the 5 days or?
Per day.
Per day. It
Per
can
day?
have that many,
Okay.
yes.
That's quite a few. All right, well, thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
It's a lot of kids.
Councilman Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you both for joining us tonight. I was excited when I heard that your guys' business bought this building. It's an interesting use and something that I think is less intensive than maybe your traditional car wash or gas station or as we like to joke, a chicken place. So it was nice to see your guys' business purchase this building. I do have a few questions and some concerns. You have a large portion of land to the north. Why not utilize that? I think by adding the vegetation and then the white vinyl fence so close to the very busy intersection. I mean, Newburgh Road at the times you discussed is very busy. Why not utilize, you have an acre plus of green space right there. Wouldn't that be a safer alternative for your guys' children as opposed to so close to Newburgh Road?
So that was in discussion. We are a firm believer that when you exit the building to go on the playground, you are just exiting straight to the playground. In order to utilize that property in back, they would have to cross over the driveway that comes off of Newburgh in order to get to that piece of property where a playground could be. And that's just not safe.
I can understand that. Why? But to kind of further my point, there's so much available land there, and I understand your position. You don't necessarily want your children crossing the road, the parking lot. Why not just move the road and parking lot and add green space to the north of your building with a enclosure, and you have so much space. You would just extend the parking lot as opposed to having the children in the vinyl fence so close to Newburgh Road.
We're open to that in the future. We're starting with our plan for right now. We have other locations that we have plans for outdoor classrooms and hiking paths and spaces to use, but to start to open, we want to use just the front lot. And we don't have plans for the second property as of right now.
I guess because you look at that, you envision that corner now, and it's a large piece of green space, and you're talking about putting a large white vinyl fence, which would impede people's vision, right? They pull up to that intersection. Now there's a large vinyl white fence on a very popular, busy corner. So I'm just trying to envision that, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from. You're talking about putting a lot of trees on this corner now, which is great. I love that you're talking about adding landscaping and the boulders, but it's such a large piece of property, and I feel like you're just trying to piecemeal by shoving in a 6-foot vinyl fence right next to the main road, as opposed to you have acres of land to the north right there, and you're not utilizing that green space. I'm just trying to get an idea of your thought process there. But we'll move on from that for a second. We heard our planning director talk about the circulation of traffic. I think you said there's 22 staff on site, is that correct?
Yes.
And then there's roughly 160 children, so you can perceive there'd be 160 vehicles that would be trying to go through that. There's not a lot of parking spaces there right now. So I think it'd be reasonable to anticipate, looking at some of our other schools, a lot of overflow traffic will be adding to that traffic congestion on Newburgh Road, or even 7 Mile proper. How do you guys plan to handle that?
Our employees will have assigned parking that is the furthest away, and parents will be encouraged to park in that front parking lot, and it's pretty quick. Drop off and pick up, it's pretty quick. They're in and out. They have to park their car and walk their child in. So I think arranging where employees are parking and where parents are dropping off and picking up, it's what works at all of our other locations, and we don't see any concerns, and we know that the parking spaces is actually above what's required. So we're not too concerned about that, especially at the prime time for drop off and pick up. With counting the number of cars that are typically in parking lots, we feel it would fit perfectly.
So 160 students, how many vehicles do you expect at prime time? Because at West Chicago and Middlebout, when they're dropping off kids next to the school next to me, West Chicago is backed up for a half a block, and it's dangerous trying to drive around these cars, and there's kids running out in the road and whatnot. So that's where I'm kind of coming from this. And you talk about adding a very busy intersection at 7 in Newburgh. How many students or vehicles do you expect at that prime time? 100 vehicles?
No. And we have, our other location is on the other side of 7 in Newburgh, and we don't have any issues with that parking lot either. And our other locations are off main roads too. I would say 30, if that. We open at 7:30. There's a line of parents there to drop off right at 7:30, and then it's kind of every 10, 15, 20-minute increments that people are coming and going. It starts to slow down at 8:30. Mostly everyone's there. Breakfast is served at 8:30. Families don't want their child to miss breakfast, so that 7:30 to 8:30 is the steady flow of parents dropping off.
I appreciate that. Thanks for the questions. Mr. Tormina, do you have any, is there any additional thought in terms of traffic circulation and what we could do as council to not have any potential issues?
Well, I understand that that front parking lot will be the first thing to fill up, I'm sure, as parents are dropping their children off. And as that fills up, the next alternative will be those spaces along the east side of the building. So at a minimum, I think we should have some type of striping across there to alert drivers pulling in off a 7 Mile road that there's people crossing there, so a crosswalk, and then extend that sidewalk probably south. You could probably cut that playground it back a few more feet, provide that sidewalk along the east side, and then wrap that around, find a way to safely have people safely walk along that drive to the front of the building as cars are pulling in and out. And I'm referring to this area right here. You'll have a lot of people coming across in this area.
Yeah.
So there should be a sidewalk, they should be able to come to a sidewalk and then walk back around to the front. Because this is the main entrance right here.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to Councilwoman Budzinski, Vice President. I think that's what we have.
Do you do full day and part day, or just full day care?
Full day.
Okay. Do you find that you have staggered drop-off times throughout for both drop-off and pickup for families?
Yes, drop-off starts at 7:30 and goes anywhere until 11 a.m., and then pickup starts at 3 and goes till 5:30.
Okay, thank you.
Vice President?
Thank you. So I guess I'm kind of curious as well with the traffic. I can attest at 7 a.m., 7 in Newburgh is extremely busy because I live right by there and I go through that intersection every day on my way to work. Has there been any kind of traffic or safety study as far as the fencing? And I saw this on the Planning Commission, but I didn't remember seeing anything.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, because I'm concerned as well with being able to see around that fencing as you're going through that intersection. And I realize that the fencing is going to be on the west and the east sides of the building, right?
Correct.
But as you're coming around by that, even the driveway there, I guess that was my concern as well, on it creating a blind spot.
I don't ever remember that being on there.
And that's, yeah, and I was actually kind of thinking along the lines of Mr. Donovic, why not utilize that beautiful green space that's back there? But I understand you've got costs with opening a new building and everything. The argument with the one that's to the west off of 7 Mile, we don't see the traffic on that one because it's so much deeper. It's a long driveway to go into that location, whereas this is a very short driveway. I'm envisioning at 7:15, 7:30 in the morning, you're going to have cars backed up in that right lane heading west on 7 Mile, if that's going to be the traffic flow pattern. Because they're already backed up there to turn, whether they're heading into the Speedway or trying to get to 275. It's already quite congested. So that would be my concern is that going to create a blind spot with those fences and the traffic situation at that intersection? Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from council? Councilman Morgan.
Mr. Tormina, I was going to ask you, the driveway that's just north of the old Bros there, is that about maybe 20 feet, 25 feet wide? And it was used as an alleyway of some type, like an exit egress? There's really no parking back there, correct?
Well, there are spaces, there's parallel spaces along the north side. It's difficult to see on this aerial photograph, but the plan does illustrate the parking spaces that run parallel to that driveway along the north side here. And as far as the dimensions, it's a full, it's probably 22 plus 10, so it's probably around 30 feet. That would be my guess. In fact, I can get you a good estimate of what that is.
Okay, so there is parking back there and some, to a small extent.
It's about 26 feet. So you take away roughly 9 feet for the parallel parking, and you're left with 17 feet for the width of the driveway. And if you got two-way traffic running along there, it gets a little tight.
Yeah.
Mr. President.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Donovan?
I'm having some really great sidebar conversation. My colleague, who's a mom and deals with this sort of stuff, I am not. So I'm
mom?
normally not, normally not in these parking lots. And she's kind of explaining that, you know, while it sounds like a lot of students, 160 students throughout the day, staggered, and she explained that there's a learning tree off of Plymouth Road, and I can envision that now. And so I understand the traffic and skeptical. I know Councilman Vice President has talked about, you know, living there and whatnot, but maybe it's not going to be as intensive. I just really think we're forcing that play area to the west. And I get it, you're conscientious of cost and whatnot, but I'm looking at a picture right now and just thinking of a white fence right there, and some boulders and trees. It's going to greatly change that corner. So I'm not super excited about that area to the west. But that's just my 2 cents. Thanks, Mr. President.
Councilman Toy?
You know, I think what I'd like to do, and if I'm understanding this correctly, the one play area is to the west, as we've talked about. Beyond that driveway coming off Newburgh, behind there, is that their property as well, the brown? So are you guys advocating, if I may, back to the petitioner, that you would eventually have a playground on the other side of that driveway?
We haven't really talked about it.
Oh.
We had no plans for that property.
So the only play area is to the west right now that you're considering, correct?
There's two.
Oh, I'm sorry,
east
where's the
side.
other one again?
On the east side.
Oh, the east side, that's right, okay. So you really haven't talked about your extra piece of property at all, okay. It would concern me, you know, I mean, in the future as well. I almost feel more comfortable, colleagues, if maybe we could put this into committee of the whole and get some more eyes on it and feel, since they don't have a ready answer for the safety of it, because I, like you, Councilman and Councilwoman, really are concerned about that. And as a sidebar over to my seatmate over here, who's, if I may reveal, you're a former Superman. No, yeah, he's a former police officer. It's not only the concern about the people, it's concern about the vehicles. While you have those boulders, I live in a neighborhood, believe it or not, one night, I'm sitting in my living room at 2 a.m, and all of a sudden I hear this horrendous crash. The guy hit the boulder at the end of the street on Hubbard, flew into the neighbor's bay window. Now, I'm not suggesting that could happen, but it did happen. Who would have ever expected that? He had a little too much to drink from what I hear, but, you know, I mean, it's not unlike, you've got a lot of action going on between, you know, all these children and the pickups and, you know, drop-offs. I mean, it can, and that road is busy to begin with. So I want you to do the best you can. That's why I'm suggesting maybe we should go to committee of the whole and get some other eyes on this. Are you in a big hurry to develop this?
Yes.
Yes. How what's your timeline?
Yesterday.
Yes, you are. Okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, so our timeline is because we're being moved out of that Livonia
Yeah.
Public School, we have a drop dead date that this building has to be done by, so our families have somewhere to go, otherwise they will be out of care.
So does that mean the end of November or before Christmas or
Early spring.
Early spring.
early
is
spring
when
of
it
next
needs
year?
to open.
Oh,
yeah.
we'd be ready by early spring, don't you think?
Well, that's your C of O date where you would have to have children already
Oh,
construction
right in.
completed.
Okay.
So your timeline is, because I mean, you gotta still factor, guys, I know, believe it or not, but we've got Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's,
Yeah,
all
that's
smack
true. We
between
have
it, so.
known a lot of, okay.
Listen,
All
Council, I love the idea of this. I'm super happy. I just thinking about a white vinyl fence along the main road right there. I'm not super excited
I'm
about
gonna go
that.
to Councilman Jolly, Councilman Budzinski, Councilman Morgan.
Yeah, so this, in theory, this would be the replacement for Marshall Elementary.
This would be the replacement for a portion of our families. Marshall can hold 365 children. We have about 280 there per day. Where Livonia Public Schools has talked about moving us to is on the other side of town. That wouldn't be efficient for our families to commute to. So this is going to save our families and give them an option for care, because our location that's across Newburgh has a wait list. It's been full since 2019, and there's no spots for care.
All good information. So I think what you just said actually provides more credence to what I was going to say. If I zoom in on Google Maps and I look at how many parking spots are available at the Marshall Elementary site, I run past there several times a week, and at pickoff, drop-off time, whatever. You actually have fewer spots available there than you will have available at 7 in Newburgh, and you're saying it's going to be approximately half as many children there, correct? So I'm less concerned in regards to the parking. And I mean, I think, speaking as, I'm also not a mom, but sometimes dads count too. I'm thankful for the service that you provide, and I know it's very tough and it's very difficult for people to find, childcare, preschool services, to be able to feel comfortable and have them close to home in a facility such as yours that has a long history. I think that's important for our community as well. I do understand some of the safety concerns being brought up. In regards to the vinyl fencing, so it's weird because there have been points in time where we've had these things come before us, and I think I was the one who pushed for the vinyl fencing because we've all passed those daycares that it's like a crazy mess of like junky toys out there. Like I presume I know that's not what you're gonna have.
There will
But
be
you
no
don't
junky
have to
toys.
have a vinyl fence, correct?
No, we
No.
want something that looks nice. That would be what you guys recommend. And
Okay.
I don't know how it got white vinyl fence. We probably would pick a different color that matches the
Okay.
building a little bit more.
Because I think that would stick out, that would be like a sore thumb in the area, particularly because the building is more of brown
It
tones,
would
if
be
that makes
solid.
sense.
We don't want children to see out cars. We don't want cars
Yeah.
to see in to know when kids are outside.
Smart.
Yeah, so the only difficult thing here is, yes, we trust the recommendation of the boulders and all that kind of stuff, but nobody wants to be the one who says that that's okay and have something go awry, right? And we've all seen horrible car accidents. If we put this on, I will offer an approving for the regular right now. Can you go back to your architect or planner, whoever's helping you with this, and see if they can finagle this a little bit to provide a little bit better option in regards to the safety?
Absolutely. But oppose something different than the boulders?
Just say, hey, what's the safest you can make this, and bring that back to us.
Okay.
Does that make sense? And I think that would alleviate any of my concerns. Parking's not a concern for me, knowing where you are coming from and how many fewer students you're gonna have.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate on the parking side of things. With I think sometimes there's a confusion about like public or regular school where kids have to be in, within a 5-minute window, and all the kids have to be picked up within a 5-minute window. Daycare is much more fluid, and so there's a learning tree by my house on Plymouth Road and Farmington. You don't see traffic backups. I've used daycare centers myself, and so that's not really a concern. And to the aesthetic point, I think, coming back with something that helps us visualize it better will be helpful in moving forward. But I'll also say, too, that, this doesn't concern me. Childcare is a need for a lot of families. I think where you are going to be located will help families who have that commute. And, whether they work in Novi or, down, like they can hop on the freeway, get off. Like, I understand where that location piece is valuable to you, but also to folks in our community and the area who have small children. This isn't one of our signature, development corners either. It's a gas station, it's a bank, it's a hospital at a corner. So, you know, I think it does fit in the kind of services that are already available there. I do want to make sure that it's safe for, you know, folks who are driving, to keep the kids safe, but also make sure that there's no sightline concerns. So again, if you can offer us a better visual on that, I think it would be helpful.
Anything else from council? Councilman Morgan.
Yeah, I do actually have some serious safety concerns about this being off a main road and just being so far, boulders or not. It also occurs to me that there may be some sightline issues depending on which way the people are pulling out. If you force them to go out onto 7 Mile or Newburgh, depending on which location they exit at, it seems like it would be problematic for them to exit there, especially if there's a white vinyl fence and there's some boulders and trees and things like that, and almost coming up, the way this is set up, it looks like it's almost coming up to the sidewalk area there. So, and not to mention traffic buzzing by at a pretty good rate. I mean, something, when you think about this, or whoever you take this back to, I was thinking, just looking at this, pushing the parking, the driveway maybe a little bit north, and then putting the play area behind the building. So traffic is not rushing by this play area. I really have a big concern about that. I mean, I've seen some very bad accidents, and this just has a bad feel about it, it being so close to the road, and the speed limit there is 45 miles an hour. Not to mention, you know, cross traffic. I just feel that this could have been maybe set up a little bit differently. So when you bring that to us, I hope there's maybe some type of, maybe you look at that a little bit further. I mean, even running the parking area, like I said, into the property that you have to the north, giving a little bit more space, and then putting that child play area behind the building. That way, it would be well off the roadway at that point, so. All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Feel free, yeah.
Just real quick, I just want to make sure if there's any improvements to the north, we should also consider sidewalk. We have 9 homes that are going to go north of this location. They may want to provide connectivity to that subdivision. Obviously, there may be some people that may want to come down to this facility, but our goal is to provide connectivity, you know, along that corridor. We're going to look at providing that on the east side. Also in the future, bringing to City Council connectivity on Newburgh Road from Pembroke to Joshua Simmons Drive as part of our bike walk initiative. We put a sidewalk along Greenwood property. So our goal is to eventually put sidewalk along both sides of Newburgh Road, and this may be a consideration of City Council requirement to put that sidewalk on that vacant property as we speak now, to provide that connectivity if the driveway gets moved or as part of this approval process. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we do have an improving on regular as of right now, with hopefully with getting some more information to us. That meeting would be a voting meeting on November 6th.
Just to clarify, we actually had 2 motions. We had one referral to Committee of the Whole initially made. Would you like to withdraw that?
Yeah.
Okay. Good call, Carter.
Yeah, because
we'll
the
withdraw that.
timing is bad, yeah.
Yeah. And I would say more information as possible you can, because just with your timing.
Thank you, Carter. Thank you.
Anything from the audience on this item? Anything further from council? All right, we'll see you back on November 6th. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 4. It's a waiver petition, comes to us from the Planning Commission, petition 2024-09-02-15, submitted by K. Ramaya Food Service LLC on behalf of Papa Romano's, requesting waiver use approval to operate a full-service restaurant with an on-premises Class C liquor license and an off-premises SDM liquor license, sale of packaged beer and wine at 36127 and 36131 Plymouth Road, located on the south side of Plymouth Road between Yale and Levan Roads. Mr. Termia.
Thank you. Your petitioner is a franchisee of Papa Romano's, proposing a new full-service restaurant at LA Plaza. This is a multi-tenant retail shopping center, about 36,000 square feet. They would rent 2 spaces that are in the westerly part of the building, be about 2,800 square feet. The restaurant would have seating for 33 customers. They are proposing liquor in the form of a Class C on-premise license as well as an SDM for the sale of packaged beer and wine products for off-premise consumption. They will need to waive the separation requirement. Punjab restaurant as well as Timeout Bar and Grill are both within 1,000 square feet, so that waiver is required for that. And then for the SDM, Levan Wine Shop is within 500 feet, and so the council will have to approve the waiver, separation waiver for that as well. Parking is adequate, no churches or schools within 400 feet of the location, and the planning commission is recommending approval.
Thank you, Mr. Termina. Councilman Jolly.
Mr. Tormina, what's the rationale for having the ability to sell packaged?
Yeah.
That's what I don't, typically restaurants don't do that.
So this is something we've seen more frequently recently. The Michigan Liquor Control Commission made it much easier for owners of bars and restaurants to carry an SDM license. So they literally purchase that license when they go to get to Class C, and then we inform them that they need to get, go through the waiver process to activate that license. They do it as an additional service to their customers, even though the amount of sales generated through the SDM license are probably negligible. You can ask this petitioner. I would hazard a guess it's below 1% of their gross revenue, but they do it anyway as a service to their customers.
So would we be setting up a situation that, say, the restaurant does not proceed? Like, we approve it, it proceeds for a period of time, but then it does not proceed. Could they continue operating only with the package sales out of that location?
So, great question. That's why we typically, on these approvals, limit it to this petitioner only, and their ability to extend it to a new owner or operator would require your approval.
Mm-hmm.
So we put that conditional language in the resolution.
Could we tie it to the restaurant as well?
You could tie it to the restaurant, you could tie it to, yes, you could tie it to all 3 of their requests, the Class C, the SDM, and the full-service restaurant, if you thought that it was important to tie it to the restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, given the proposal before us, I would offer an approving that ties the operation to each of the things that you just mentioned. That being the case, it fits a unique niche. It's different. It's not duplicating something else that's already in the area. Thank you.
All right, so we have an approving Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple questions. I understand the being able to serve on inside the restaurant, or even if you've got carry out and you want to pick up a 6-pack while you're there, and I guess that's what the SDM is. In watching the Planning Commission, they talked a lot about delivery. Where did we end up on that? Because it would seem like someone could call in, order a pizza, and they could also have a 6-pack delivered with their pizza. So.
I believe that is the case.
Okay.
With the SDM.
So I guess that's where I have some concerns, to be perfectly honest, with this SDM. And I guess if you did want to get a pizza and grab a beer, I mean, Livonia is right there, but I get them trying to also their business, but the delivery part of it really gives me pause. And I know you can, order booze on Uber, Eats and all that as well, but this just seems like we're opening up something here that I'm not sure that I feel comfortable opening up. All right.
Yeah, just for point of dialogue here, I had the same thought process, but I think with Uber Eats and all these other providers, I think it happens anyways.
Correct, but and I know with those, but there's some different liability issues there. I don't know that public
I'm just
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
that's how I
no, I
rationalized it in
agree
my
too.
head.
So I just wanted to make sure that was transparent, that's going to be an option as well.
Mr. President, I'll wait for the petitioner, and then I do have a couple comments.
Okay. Any more questions from council for Mr. Tormina? All right, if the petitioners are here, I know Councilman Toy, this is, take it right now.
Oh, okay.
We'll bring them up.
Sure.
We do have some petitioner questions. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, council members. My name is Alex Shalal. I am the attorney for the petitioner.
Good evening, council. My name is Kevin Ramaya. I'm the owner of the Papa Romanos.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kevin, if I may, call you Kevin, do you own other Papa Romanos anywhere?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Still or no?
No.
No. This is new for you then?
This is a new concept. It's the first Papa Romanos with liquor, but I was with Papa Romanos for about 10 years.
Okay, great, great. And why this site? Why, I can appreciate this site because if it's the same site I'm thinking, I go there to get my nails done, and it's in need of people to rent and lease and all that good stuff. So, do you think it's?
I think it's a good site.
spot for you?
I like the corner. We like that the Ford transmission plant is right across the street.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I was semi-retired. I came out of retirement because I was really bored, and pizza's a fun business.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well,
I mean,
great.
when I saw the location, first thing that came to my mind was Papa Romanos.
Yeah, because it's been pointed out, there's like 3 different waivers you need because of the location.
Yes.
Within others that are there. But in my own experience on Plymouth Road for some 40-some years, I think it's a very needed kind of venue down that way. Especially pizza is such a popular item, and the other goods that great Italians do, as we know. So I can appreciate Mr. Jolly's approving, and I wish you much, much success, because it's a great road to be on, and this council does a great job of making sure things are kept up on that in our city, fathers and mothers too. So welcome. I hope you get the votes, and I hope that we're all right. And just be cautious, I think, as my one colleague pointed out, as you deliver, that gives me a little pause too. But I think you'll screen it pretty good, I hope, right? Yeah.
We will.
You don't want to go out of business once you're in.
No.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I was just going to say that growing up, Papa Romanos was always, it's like they've disappeared. There's barely any around anymore, but they were always the go-to, so I'm happy to see it back.
Yeah.
Which one did you work at?
I used to own the one in Roseville at Utica Road and Common. I was
Okay.
there for 10 years.
I still remember 9 Mile and Telegraph. That was
their number 1 store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Well, you have an approving on regular, which means, come hang out with us on November 6th, and we'll go from there. Thank you for joining us this evening. Anything from the audience on this item? Seeing none, we'll see you on the 6th.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 5 is a site plan petition. Comes to us from the Planning Commission in reference to petition 2024-08-08-06, submitted by CESO on behalf of Walmart, requesting approval of all plans to construct a 1,272 square foot addition to the grocery pickup on the west end of the existing Walmart Supercenter at 29555 Plymouth Road, located on the south side of Plymouth Road between Middlebelt and Milburn. Mr. Termina.
Thank you. So this is a small addition, relatively speaking, to the Walmart store on Plymouth Road. This addition would be on the west side of the building, just north of the existing auto center. And the 1,270 square feet that they would add to the structure would actually be combined with space within the store that would be converted and used for online sales pickup operations. So if you can, everyone's familiar with online grocery pickup, this would be the staging area for those items. And then vehicles or customers who want to pick those items up, there would be designated parking spaces just to the west of there where they would call in, and then somebody would exit that area on this side of the building to deliver the groceries. And hopefully I have a plan and it's not going to show up. But anyway, there would be about 42 existing parking spaces devoted for parking for that purpose, then 13 additional areas. They have to make some changes to this outdoor racking and storage area back here. Some of the issues that were discussed at the Planning Commission is their seasonal storage of trailers in this area to accommodate the sales during the holiday season. That will not be impacted. There would be some additional signage provided on the site. All of that would be internal and would be directional in nature as well. There would be some additional lighting for the customers in that area. Planning Commission is recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tormina. Councilman Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Tormina. Is there a store manager here or just the architect?
The engineer is here.
Is there a store manager here? No. I'd like to offer this for committee of the whole. It's unfortunate the store manager did not come here. We've had a lot of issues at this Walmart. Abandoned shopping carts up and down Plymouth Road. And when I say dozens and dozens, if not 100 shopping carts at a given time, that needs to be taken care of. And then I've received complaints about, to Mr. Tormina's point, of the storage of trailers out there in the parking lot. It's really kind of run amok, and I think this is our only opportunity to look at those issues and solve those issues before we start making exterior modifications to this site. So if it's okay with my colleagues, I'd like to make a motion for committee. And I think it's very important and critical that someone from the actual store show up and hear our concerns.
Are you good if that's on consent?
Yes, sir.
Any problems with that? Anything else from council? Seeing none, anything from the audience? Good evening. 2 minutes.
Cindy Fleming, Woodring, Livonia again. Having grown up very close to this area and being very familiar with the area, I have concerns about additions to the west side of the building, especially since the apartments will be going in right behind there. And I also have concern about the trailer parking, because you're going to have all these people paying rent in apartments to look at a bunch of trailers and grocery pickup. It's going to affect the traffic for all of those people coming in and out. There's only one way that's going to be in and out. There's going to have to be school buses picking up children multiple times a day. I have concerns about this, so I support it. You bringing it to the committee of the whole.
Thank you. Anything else from the audience? Seeing none, we're going to move on to item number 6 is an award of bid. Comes to us from the Livonia Housing Commission for the replacement of 5 doors in the Newburgh Village Community Building Garage Maintenance Shop and Laundry Room from budgeted funds. For 5 doors, man, you hung on this long, so I don't even know.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Newburgh Village property is now 33 years old. I can't believe it's 33 years old. These are the original doors on the community building. They are not ADA accessible, the entry doors, so we're also going to be including paddles to allow people to push a paddle and the elderly can enter the building there. Some of the doors are not properly sized in terms of maintenance facility, so we're going to have some uneven doors now that we'll be able to get more of our maintenance materials in and out of the building. All of these buildings, or all these doors, will include new hardware, new locking mechanisms. The laundry room door will also have a code system now for our residents, so they don't have to have a key. So it's going to be a big improvement for the community building for the residents there. So we did receive bids. The low bid is Allied Building Service Company of Detroit in the amount of $68,960, and this is with budgeted funds.
So moved.
Councilman Jolly.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you take that. Seeing my line of sight right now, I just can only imagine Jim and Mike 20 years ago talking about one day retiring and then giving it a go for about a year each or so, and then being like, that place was great, we got to get back there. You guys are going to be here forever. This is great.
I was talking with Mike. Mike said he's going to come back for a while.
The guy from Papa Romano's is right there with you, too.
They got bored.
I'm like a bad penny. I just don't go away.
The whole gang's back. Who else can we pull back? No, it's good. We appreciate everything.
Thank you,
It's all steps forward.
Thank you, council member.
You know, you have a big project coming up with Newburgh Village too.
Correct.
So that'll be interesting to see, but.
Yeah, we've got the site survey completed now. We've got it all staked out. We've got our elevations. We've got our site plan. We kind of know where we're putting the retention pond. We know the kind of buildings we want. We're now placing them on the site. So we're talking to finance. So we're going to be back to council here shortly.
Wow.
But not Mike though, right?
Mike is going to be my consultant.
No, we appreciate it.
I love it.
Thank you, sir.
And is that fine on consent? You were the official, who was the official toy was?
My friend.
Who did you have on that?
Boy.
Yeah, see?
Oh, really?
You had, listen,
Because it's a short name. Yes, sir. If you,
we're gonna keep that on consent.
It's quicker to write.
We had to go to Toronto, as the NHL would say. All right, you're on consent?
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out.
Have a good evening.
Any issues from the audience on these doors? Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 7 is an award of contract and request to authorize additional appropriation and expenditure. This comes to us from the Department of Parks and Recreation for consulting services for the construction phase of the Senior Center Addition and Recreation Center Improvement Funds from budgeted funds. Good evening, Mr. Davis, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Good morning, Council President. Ted Davis, representing Parks and Recreation.
Touché.
We are asking Council to approve a professional services contract with M. Slater Consulting LLC for owner's advisor services with the Senior Wellness Center project. Council had previously approved this project with Resolution 342-22 for architectural services, Council Resolution 70-24 for construction management, and Resolution 170-24 for construction administration. We're looking to round out our team and hopefully take a little pressure off of me. I currently am holding several full-time positions. I'd like to knock that down to,
Tell us how you really feel.
Someday 1, but let's go with 2 for right now.
Well, Mr. President, there are very few people through city government that I would have more faith and confidence in than Mike Slater providing professional services of this nature. He's had the city's best financial interest in mind for decades and decades and decades. So, good pick.
And he stayed this whole time.
He did.
Well, he left for a couple months.
It had to be
and then-
fun.
No, I mean this meeting, this meeting. I'm
He's got a
speaking
smile
of,
on his
so.
face.
He doesn't get out much anymore. He's got
yeah.
It's true.
Mr. President, is there a representative from M. Slater Consulting here maybe this evening?
I think they had to fly him in.
They had to, probably had to fly him in private, I'm assuming.
We did. Would you like to speak to our representative here from M. Slater Consulting LLC?
Who this person is.
Yeah, I understand. Put a face to the
Yeah.
the company. Sure.
Yes.
Good evening, council.
Seems like a roast.
Welcome back.
And it's been a number of months since I've been at this meeting, and I'll tell you, don't miss them. So,
You forgot to ask name and
Me
record.
neither.
I don't either.
Name and address.
Oh, goodness. Well, you know what? We always have this. Take us home. I mean, we have Laura do it. Just give us some good words here. Finish it out.
I am excited to work on this project. You know I spent years trying to get grant money for this thing, and so I'm excited to see this thing come to
It's gonna be great.
a good conclusion. And with that, if I have a motion to adjourn, I'd be happy to talk.
That's what I was saying. Laura, take us home.
Yeah. What, do you want audience communication or no?
Well,
Yeah.
listen.
We need a motion on this
Well,
contract.
you've already spoke. Well, technically,
No,
you can't.
You can only address the
Just
meeting one time.
We need a motion on this item.
So
though.
moved. Oh,
we do.
yeah.
It's,
contract.
there was
So moved.
approving and consent.
Okay.
Yeah. You gotta listen.
Is there anything from the audience?
Just type
The
it back.
only one that's left? No? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Good night, Livonia. Good morning, Livonia.
Thank you, council.